of the water and, not stress yourself out more than you need to. Now, again, I'm not telling anybody who's listening not to go bust their butt and go make a ton of money, but sometimes I think a lot of people stress themselves out over the wrong things. And if, just like you said, all of a sudden the world once you start putting out what you really need and want, it's weird how the world comes to you. Kind of like how I got on your podcast. I told Dave Meltzer, I was like, hey, Dave, I'm looking to get on more podcasts. He's like, great. And then he connected you and me up, and it's cool. Now I'm meeting you, and, in the long term, we never know what's going to come from it, So it's just cool how the world works.
Well, it really is. And I also like that you brought up that when you start figuring out what your goals are in life, what's going to make you happy, it usually turns out to be less than what you expect, because I think in our minds, we all think, I've got to make $1 million a year to be able to retire and have everything I ever wanted. Well, my easy formula was, I'd love to live on a ranch in Montana. And if you don't really look into that and think about what the numbers are, well, a ranch in Montana is about $600,000, right? And I know some people, that's a lot of money. Well, I live in a house that's way more than that today. And so for me, that would actually be scaling back my lifestyle. And then you start looking at what kind of numbers those are. I mean, it's very, very achievable if you put realistic numbers to paper and you map out your goal. And I think, there's also, like you said, not everybody has to go out there and make $100 million, because there's a trade-off of time. And for guys like you and I, we both have little ones at home, and you've got another one on the way. When you start trading time to make $100 million that you actually probably don't even need to be happy, then you're really sacrificing more than what you should be. So I guess I want to encourage people to create some goals, figure out what they really want in life, what's really going to make them happy, and go after that. And I'm guessing that probably plays into your upcoming, what are you calling it, a seminar when you're training guys? You got your high performance men's mastermind, healthier, wealthier, happier man. What can
so it's. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what can people expect if they're going to sign up for that program with you?
So the program's a 90-day program, and I do have a year-long program as well. But long story short, what I've discovered, especially in the male population, I did a kind of a study on myself, because we don't have time for this. I'll make it very brief.
Sure.
2 years ago, I was very unhappy. I was the entrepreneur working 100 plus hours a week, and luckily at the time I didn't have a family. I was just married, but it was impacting my relationship with my wife. I got really out of shape. And what I discovered is a lot of men in the, bracket going into like their 30s is kind of the uncharted 30s into their, mid 40s. It's like the untalked about years of a male's life. I think a lot of times the world talks about the people in their 20s, and they talk about the 50-year-olds, saying, hey, you're not too old, or hey, you're young, work your ass off, blah, blah, blah. The middle years, when you're starting to have young kids at home, and you're getting promoted at your career, and you're trying to make more money, and you're all that, and you're wearing multiple hats. I think that those are the lost years. And so what I've decided to do was create a program where we focus on three main goals that a guy wants to achieve in 90 days. Uh-huh. And usually all the clients that I've signed up, their goals usually are a health goal. And what I found is a lot of guys, it just happens. It's not a negative thing. There's no judgment. But a lot of times when you have a family and you start getting busier, the first thing that goes is you stop going to the gym, and you stop focusing on your health. And that's why you see a lot of guys in their 30s who are, they have that extra, they're not overweight, or they're not obese, or they're not like, you wouldn't think of it, but they're, they have 20 to 25 pounds more on their body than they probably should.
Yeah.
And their confidence has decreased, so on. So we talk a lot about health and longevity. That's a huge component, because I do believe that when you're healthier, you actually become happier, more confident, and you increase your income, just because confidence and happiness actually makes you a better employee or a better businessman.
Yep.
We have a second one we do is we have a financial goal. So kind of talking what we talked about earlier is we do talk a little bit about what do you want to accomplish in 90 days financially. And it might not, everyone's slightly different. So it might be a business owner that says, hey, Matt, I want to, increase my business by 5% or whatever it might be. And then the last one's a personal goal. So a lot of times it's a family goal or a relationship goal with their wife. For me, I just found that I wasn't spending enough time with my wife, and she's amazing. And any wife of an entrepreneur has to be amazing, because we're a weird breed. But And so what I discovered is that those are usually the 3 goals. And so then what we do is we sit down and we create what's called momentum metrics, which is, anything you're going to accomplish in life, you need to track. So we come up with realistic metrics that you need to do. And then what we do is we meet together twice a month, and everyone in the group knows each other, and it's basically bringing together a community of men as well. Because I do think we suck as men, calling our buddies and telling them, hey, I just had a fight with my wife, or shoot, I just made a huge financial mistake. And we hold all that in and we don't tell anybody because we want to be these macho, masculine guys. And so so I decided to kind of morph kind of your traditional high performance 90-day, let's accomplish some badass goals, with building a community of men that can support each other along the way. And kind of back to when I was playing sports, or, I wasn't in the military, but kind of like being a part of that, like brotherhood, that fraternity kind of brotherhood. And so that's kind of what the program is entailing. And then the year-long mastermind, with that, what we do is we do 2 to 3 events a year where we get together in person, and we have a 2.5 day weekend just retreat where guys get together. And what we're going to do is basically, not only am I going to bring in guest speakers for everything from how to be happier, how to be more successful financially, how to increase your health and longevity and be more confident and all that, but we're also going to play as well. So go play trampoline dodge, start doing things that, you wouldn't do as an adult man, but like trampoline dodgeball, go shoot some paintballs, and do some hot yoga, go to the gym and do a group workout, and basically kind of balance between obviously in classroom training, but also, letting that competitive side out of you mixed with play, getting its opportunity to play, which I think we all lose when you're just super busy. So that's kind of the program. I know I just explained it super long, but that's what the program entails. And we're going to be launching in January. January 15th is going to be our next 90-day program. And anytime I talk to somebody, I tell people there's no selling of it. It's just, if you're interested, you can go to my website, mattbalducci.com, and there's a link where you can schedule a call with me. And then we'll see if it's something that makes sense. And if it does, then we'll sit down. Now, there is a questionnaire beforehand, and I use that as my qualifier to make sure somebody's actually, not just excited. They're actually like, yeah, this would be a help to save myself time, because obviously I wish I had a million hours in a day just to talk to everyone. But
yeah.
But basically, once someone says, hey, I want to call, then I send them a questionnaire, and then that's how I qualify them to make sure that, there's somebody that we want to talk to and potentially put in our group. So that's it's called the name might change to a different name, but right now it's the Healthier, Wealthier, Happier Man, is what I'm calling it. But that's basically the overall concept of the program. And we're launching that at the beginning of the year coming up in 2019.
I love it. I think what's so great is that you identified an age bracket of men, and you are so spot on with that. I know where I was at in those years and how I felt, and I didn't even have kids at home at the time. But man, I wish you were around then. I would have taken your course. So, Matt, I love your energy. I think we could probably talk all day, and I know our listeners will probably enjoy this segment. So thank you for taking the time to be on the show. Where's the best place to find out more about you? What's your web address exactly? And I know you've got some social media out there. What do you want to throw out there for us?
Yeah, so, mattbalducci.com will give you a quick overview of what's going on. That's just if you want to schedule a call. But if you're just looking for free content, I post tons and tons of content all over my socials on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and those are all just Matt Balducci. Super easy. And, I tell people all the time, as much as I want to make $1 million, my number one goal now is to impact as many people as I can. And whether that's someone just watching a video and hearing a message, or listening to this podcast, and maybe they're like, oh yeah, I resonate with that. That's really what I care about. Now, long-term, yes, the more people I impact, the more money I'll make long-term. But that's the coolest part, is finding that kind of marrying what you love doing and helping people. And that's what I'm most excited about moving forward in my career. But I just want to say thank you, Jim. This was awesome. And this was a really fun podcast to be on. And I just want to say, and it's funny because I didn't know your backstory as much as we got into it. It makes me excited because you have a similar backstory. So
yeah, things in common. Hey, and a quick shout out to David Meltzer for connecting us. He's doing a great job with his books and the things that he's involved with, but really appreciate that he's connecting us. And by the way, if you have a podcast and you want Matt on, you heard him earlier, he's looking to be on more shows. He's got some great programming coming up. So again, Matt, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Well, there you have it. Great interview with Matt. I want to thank him for being on the show. If you want to check out his website, it's mattbalducci.com. He's got some incredible testimonials on there. He's got some programs that you can sign up for. He calls it the Business Accelerator Program. He's out on the East Coast, so if you're out there listening, he's your guy. Please check him out. Follow him along on Instagram. I know he's got a lot of motivational stuff. By the way, we didn't talk about it a whole lot, but he's really into fitness and bodybuilding. So we got a few things in common in terms of tough workout regimens. So thanks again for tuning in. If you've enjoyed our shows, please share it with friends and family. Go on iTunes, give us a ranking, subscribe if you can. It just means so much to me. I'd really appreciate it. And I would love to hear from you. If you want to send me messages on my social media and or get in touch with me, feel free to reach out. If you want to be a guest on the show, you think you got something to say, I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have a podcast show, I wouldn't mind being on yours. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So as I usually talk about, David Meltzer, talking about vibration and just knowing that you have more than enough and going through that exercise on a daily basis, waking up and talking about to yourself, writing some notes about what you have more than enough in your life. And I think you will find that you're probably doing pretty good. And then finally, what you believe is what you'll achieve. I know I saw that on my way to Tahoe, 30 miles, was able to achieve that. I'm already thinking about what's next. I do know it's not going to be 30 more miles. Probably another beast or something around that level. But just believe in yourself. Know that you have the ability to achieve whatever it is you put your mind to. So thanks again. That's this week's podcast. Look forward to delivering another show to you next week.